right, here we go. Episode 5, Power Performance Podcast. It is now 2021. 2020 is now in the background. That year is well behind us, hopefully. Your host, Scott Phillips, here with Power Performance Coaching. And today we have Isaac Nichols on the podcast. Isaac's one of a family friend of mine. I've known for a while. He used to live on the same street as me, a little bit older than me. But his brother, Jacob, is a little bit closer in age to me, but we've known each other for a while now. Isaac, how we doing?
Excellent. Thanks. Great to be here.
Cool.
Thanks for the invite. And yeah, I mean, I don't remember the first year that I met you, Scott. It's been way back, and a lot of fun things that happened on my last facility back then, right?
Yeah, right. That's been a long time. We've come a long way. Now, you just told me you're in the Weymouth area. So let's talk about where are you currently at right now when it comes to coaching? What are you doing?
So right now I work at Fit Factory. It's a commercial box gym, high volume, low price point. I'm actually, my full-time position is a sales manager there. So I'm more on like the business side of it, just kind of as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and just shifting outlooks on things. Decided to take that position there, but I also do some personal training with them as well. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Awesome. Now your background, to let everyone know, your background is in strength and conditioning, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I have undergrad and master's degree in exercise science. Undergrad from Colby Sawyer College up in New Hampshire. Master's degree from Merrimack. And multiple internships as well as paid positions doing strength and conditioning.
Awesome. Now, funny story. Our second guest we had on here, Molly Mulcahy, she got her graduate degree at Merrimack as well in strength and conditioning.
Nice. Yeah. They're really building that program. It's absolutely fantastic. I can't say enough about it. I know I've suggested it to a few people who've talked about it. It's a 1 year accelerated master's. And they also offer a fellowship program. So like when I graduated, I did a full year of coaching at Tufts University. So they're linked up with other multiple schools, full year coaching at Tufts University, as well as full course load of academic work. So I came out with a master's degree as well as 1 year of experience to help me jump into the field. So that's, I can't say enough about that program. They've really grown it and bolstered it up for the last few years. That's
awesome. Now, did you do the GA program there?
So I wasn't, so it's, so they have like their individual, they call it a fellowship. So basically what happens is like they give you a discounted rate of tuition. I think like when I went, I was like, I think like $10,000 or something like that. And it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to do it at Merrimack. So there were Merrimack fellows. They had some for the strength and conditioning as well as for the athletic training department as well. But they also linked up with many other places. So you had your choice from like anywhere from like Boston College, I think had at Tufts University where I went, a couple local private facilities, the YMCA if you were more into like the public health sector. And they had fellowship lines up with like, I think now they're over like 100 different places.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Not just stuck at Merrimack. You can get experience, really geared to whatever you want to do once you graduate.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So you went to Colby Sawyer undergrad, then you went to Merrimack, and then let's talk about kind of your trip to where you are now. What happened next? Where'd you go?
So my first short-lived pit stop was a long road trip down to Florida. I linked up and got a position at DME Academy. So I went down there. It was a unique position. It was like a paid internship with a stipend, housing, food included, very similar to like a postgraduate GA kind of situation there. But I was super excited to do that. More hands-on coaching experience, chance to learn from someone highly reputable who's actually worked with Joe Ken at the Carolina Panthers. So he was like, knew him, had like phone calls from Joe Ken during the day. So I was like, this is a great experience to learn from someone who's like done the big time. And, over the next few months, for a multitude of reasons, wasn't the place where I truly wanted to settle and be. So I stuck to some of my, my firm beliefs didn't match up with some of the firm beliefs of other people within the organization. And it was a short-lived tenure, and I came back to Massachusetts. And from there, I went to UMass Dartmouth for a year, worked there as, overseeing parts of their fitness center, like just a regular student gym, as well as some of their strength and conditioning programs. And then the year after that, moved up to the Weymouth area and got a job at Fit Factory, where I am now, as well as working part-time at Northeastern University, Division I place in Boston. So one of my buddies there, they needed a coach. I kind of benefited from the old adage of you got to know somebody to get a job. They were in a pinch to hire. They needed a good coach. My name was tossed out, reached out. And, you know, that's how I ended up there. Did a year there. And then unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic and just needing to reallocate funds, they weren't able to make my position available again for the second year.
Yeah.
And I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah.
You know, throughout the whole summer, I saw that coming. You know, so I made moves to make sure that I had myself set up. We all know that this feels, you know, financially tough for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Especially during this time, you know, so I feel for anybody who has been affected. But, you know, I had the opportunity, and I'm very grateful that I could make, you know, professional moves to set myself up, you know, in those cases. And, you know, I just, you know, with everything that go on, I had to play it safe, and I went more into like a business management role, which I absolutely love. It's fantastic. I still get to work with people. I still coach, just in a different sense. You know, I still get to coach young people to develop into better human beings, which is really truly what all strength and conditioning is.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's just the medium of what we choose to do.
Exactly. It's all the realms, whatever it is. I tell people this all the time. It doesn't matter if you're strength and conditioning, personal training, CrossFit, bodybuilding, just strictly like they have like the weight loss gyms. Like, doesn't matter what that is. You're just helping people better themselves in different manners. Like, it's all the same. It's just kind of like what you're doing and what you're attacking, pretty much, and what the facility is attacking.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same idea that you want to help people become the best version of themselves, and that's truly why I 100% feel like every single person gets into the fitness field, you know. And it's just really choosing what you're skillful at, right? You know, some people are skillful at coaching CrossFit. Some people are doing better at doing one-on-one small group training. Some people are really good at the nutrition side. Like, pick your skill and help the people become the best version of themselves through that medium. Right? You don't all have to do it the same, right? That's not the way. You know, everybody has their separate ways of doing things, so let's use that to help people, right, to become the best version of themselves.
Exactly. So like my story is kind of backwards. I think a lot of my people close to me know my story, but for people that don't, I came out of college with my undergrad in exercise science, kinesiology, and then I went right in, and I was like, I need to make some sort of money. Like, I was making a life transition, moving from like Central Mass. Now I live in like the Shirley, Acton, Chelmsford area, so like North Boston-ish. So I had to like find some sort of income to get myself out there. So I just became a personal trainer at like everybody's fitness, Lifetime Fitness style gym. I was just taking in clientele, making money. And then for my style of fitness, I was into kind of CrossFit. I don't know. I just kind of like the push, and I was like doing CrossFit, but I didn't belong to a CrossFit gym. I was just like doing high intensity, like trying to take some weight off because I gained a little bit of weight. And then I slowly started to discover getting back into like CrossFit coaching and thinking about that. Now I'm just full-time CrossFit, and it's kind of where my passions lies. Like, the one-on-one was great. And I still do it all the time. I mean, this whole platform is based off of like personal training or small group training. But like kind of my everyday, I do some sort of large group CrossFit in the gym, in the box style training. And that's just kind of what I love. Big group, loud environment, helping people kind of in that big group setting. That's just what I'm into. And it's kind of relatable to, I did an internship back in college to like a high school group strength conditioning, where it's like football team comes in, big environment, loud, a lot of moving parts. Like, that's like what I grew to. And that's kind of what I really love. And CrossFit kind of gave me that push again. Now, so for you, let's talk about DME first, just because I think that was a little bit underrated kickstart for a lot of coaches. I mean, that's a pretty high-end high school, like private high school, correct?
Yeah. So they're a private high school down in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Yeah. And now you were working strictly as a strength coach there with them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it was multiple teams, multiple avenues, things like that.
Oh yeah. So their big thing is basketball. They're like, that's what they're known for. That's what they're trying to develop is postgraduate and high school basketball players, trying to get the high school players into good college programs. Then their postgraduate is those people who need maybe an extra year of development, maybe an extra year of academics or anything like that, or just want to maybe increase their stock in future, in offers to colleges, right? They go to the postgrad, they get an extra year of development, but they also, had hockey, volleyball, a lacrosse team, right? So there was also a multitude of other teams that they were expanding into as well, but big focus was basketball.
Nice. And then when you came up here, I did see some stuff with UMass Dartmouth with you. You worked a lot with their soccer players. Is that correct?
Yeah. So that was one of my major responsibilities. Was the soccer team. Like many other places, like it just came down to the time that they would be lifted and the time that I was there. That's how I feel like a lot of places get scheduled. It's like, yeah, we all want the same coach for 4 years, and that's hard, right? Because sometimes team lifts at 3 p.m. one year, and then they got to move their thing to 6 a.m. the next. And like, it's hard to get the coach to do that unless the coach is willing to be there 60 hours a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. at night, 6 days a week, and like that's. I know a lot of places are trying to get away from that.
Yeah, that part's tough. We talked about it. Me and my old internship advisor, Coach Steve, he was on the last podcast, and we talked about, especially for newer coaches, when you're getting like your feet wet, the schedule is not, we don't want to say out of your control, but like when you first get out of college, you're kind of like, you take anything that's given to you and you kind of just run with it. But like that could mean like 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. with maybe like a little break in the middle. So it is tough. But I know a lot of places are trying to kind of get away from that. Like you either come and coach in at night or you come and coach in the morning, and like you're not spending 12-hour days there. It's kind of more like your 9 to 5 traditional style, like type style.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're ever going to get to a traditional 9 to 5 schedule.
No way.
I don't think it's ever going to be that. But like you can get to the use of technology to communicate and develop people and just make things much more effective and efficient. You can have a coach that comes in at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, does the morning teams, right? Then another coach that comes in the afternoon. There might be some overlap for a staff meeting or anything like that. But like you can have a team lift at 6 a.m. one day at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? There's so many methods and ways to communicate, whether it's how you write things down on the sheet, whether it's having a system of training that everyone's bought into, and this understanding of this is how we train, this is what exercises are called. Then you also have like text message, email, like Google Sheets, Microsoft Teams, right? There's so many ways to input data and information, just communicate between people, that you can have multiple strength coaches coach different days and the team still feels as a cohesive unit.
Yeah. So this is one of the big things. And now we're kind of branching into Northeastern and putting all these pieces together. One of the big things that I wanted to talk to you about is you've done it. You've been a strength coach essentially at some of the highest levels, like private high school with Division I basketball players. You've been to UMass Dartmouth as D3, but then Northeastern, I mean, they've got some pretty upper echelon Division I teams. Let's talk about kind of those systems, or what are some of the biggest takeaways that you've learned? Because I'm guessing when you first went to, for example, like DMA or first showed up at Northeastern, like that first 2 weeks, you're like, whoa, I didn't know you could do any of this. And now you're taking all that information away.
Yeah, well, so I was actually super fortunate during my time at Tufts, just because my athletic background is in soccer. So at Tufts, I actually got to work with the Tufts University soccer team.
Yep.
And so they had actually won, I think, 3 national titles before that on Division III level. And I think the year after I worked with them, so I worked with them all full time with the fall. That year I was there. Sorry, no, the spring that I was there, and then the next fall they won another national championship. So like I was used to kind of that high intensity environment, right? Just because the sheer luck of a lot of it was just like I made a lot of good decisions on my own, but there was also a lot of people that had faith in me, and I ran with it, went full force into it, and I showed my talents. But so I was used to having athletes that really cared about their performance. And that's the biggest thing, is having athletes that care about the performance. Whether it's a D3 athlete, private high school, Division I college, right? There is something that makes those athletes care about their performance. It's not always going to be the same, right? Athletes might differ, right? You just got to find it and then press that button and to get them to do what you want them to do, right? And what you want to do is help them improve their performance. So you're just finding a way to help them. And like that's the biggest thing that I carried across every single platform, every single place that I went, whether it was no matter what the level of the athlete was, is find their motivation, talk to them about that, and then show them how you're going to help them achieve their desire was.
Yeah. Now, so I talk all the time about how it doesn't matter what I'm in CrossFit space, but you're just at Fit Factory right now because of COVID. But even I tell adults and I tell younger kids, or I tell people in their 20s trying to lose weight, things like that, like you can treat all of these avenues. Like there's an athlete in everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. There's an athlete somewhere in there. I don't care how far deep it is. And sometimes when you get a little competitiveness going, and you get that competitive edge coming out of somebody, that's where a lot of change can occur. So it's not like you don't have to be a Division I basketball player to have a little competitive drive and compete with yourself. You don't have to compete with anyone around you. Just compete with yourself. And it's the same thing. If you're just an adult coming into a gym, you have a personal trainer, and you're just going to compete with yourself, your numbers, right? You want to get stronger. Okay. If you're back squatting 50 pounds, right? Let's get it up to 60 pounds, get it to 70 pounds. Like you're just competing with yourself. And I find with people that I work with, when they start to get a little bit of drive and like you can see that want coming out of them, like they know they can step it up. That's where the biggest changes occur.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's you get any human being, they want to compete.
Yeah.
They might not want to compete about the same thing, but there's something they want to compete about. And you throw a competition out there, you throw their ego on their line, their reputation, right? Just, their emotions, how they feel that day, they will work so much harder than if you just berated, scream, and yelled. And just like, I found screaming and yelling just doesn't work for the majority of people.
No,
it doesn't. It won't. So like, when you throw in a way to compete against somebody else, whether it's a friend, a teammate, the coach yourself, right? You put a little bit of risk for them, they'll work hard.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, now this is going to lead me into an interesting topic that I find sometimes, and you might debunk this topic, when it comes to strength conditioning with teams. And I'll relate this back. Right now, I have a teen group, high school group at the CrossFit gym, Monday to Friday, come in 3 times a week. Awesome group, very diversified in ages. We go all the way from like 13 to 18, make it work, a lot of siblings, things like that. And the group is forever growing. But they're starting to get a little bit of competitive edge, things like that. So there's a big drive for them to be there. Now, but when you're working with, for example, like the Tough soccer team or the Northeastern team, something like that, athletes that I don't want to say know that they're at a high caliber, do you always see that drive, like they are always pushing for something? Or is your job as the coach, is there some days where like none of the team wants to be there? Like how does that environment work at like a higher level, D3, D1? Like how does that work as the coach? How do you push them? Are they always motivated?
So you got to remember, like, so even at Division I level, right, you can go to the biggest school, biggest budgets, best players, right? There's some players that just don't want to lift weights.
Like ever.
They will never want to lift weights.
Now, as the coach, what do you do there? Do you just kind of like, you probably don't let them go through the motions, but like, what would you do to kind of motivate them?
So that's that, you got to build relationships, right? So you got to find out why they're there, right?
Yeah.
Is it to play a sport because they want the possibility and chance of going pro? Do they want it because they want to be the first college graduate and the sport was the way that they got their scholarship, and they're because of basketball, soccer, whatever they're playing, right? They get to be the first college graduate in their family, and that's a source of pride for them. Or like, you just got to find their motivation for being there, right? And then you just back that, right? So you're going to have people that just absolutely love lifting weights come in there. You don't have to tell them. They're just going to love crushing weights, crush it every single day. And those are the people you don't have to worry about, right?
Yeah.
You know they're going to step in. They're going to be in the zone, right? You just kind of got to make sure, right? Sometimes for those people, you get pulled back sometimes, actually, right? Hey, like, you're doing too much, right? Like, you got to do less, actually.
Yeah.
Right? And you also got the other end of the team where it's like they do not want to be there at all because they're just not framing it in the right mindset.
Yeah.
Right. So now you got to talk to them, build that relationship, right? Find out more than just as a player. Right? Ask questions about what do they do in their free time, figure out who they really truly are as a person, and then you utilize that and show them how that motivation, what they want to accomplish in the rest of their life, right? And how what you trying to do with them in the weight room is going to help them succeed.
Yeah. Well, I found like getting to know somebody, it doesn't matter how old they are. They could be 13, they could be 75, right? It doesn't matter who the person is. The more you get to know them and the more the relationship is, multiple things start to happen. They trust you and they believe everything that you're going to say, which is huge. The relationship of, well, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to push you over a boundary that I'm not going to make you do something that I know you can't do. Never do that. But then they start to believe in themselves as well as you start to believe in them. They believe in themselves. That's where you see them start to buy into things. And it doesn't matter what you're in. Like it can be with athletes. Like I said, it can be with a 75-year-old adult. It can be with a 12-year-old. Building a somewhat of a relationship and enjoying the time too. Like I always said in personal training, right? Like there's a feeler period. There's like a 2 or 3 day feeler period where like, does the client like the trainer? Does the trainer have a good relationship with the client? And you feel that out. And then when you start to build that relationship, that's where you start to see your like training start to take off. It's the same thing with athletes, I think.
Yeah. So you got to remember the majority of people, like whether you're a trainer, strength coach, whatever, like you're asking them to do something that they would not typically regularly do on their own.
Yes.
Right. Like, so let's say like you want them to add 5 pounds because you're doing linear periodization. You got to add 5 pounds every single week. Now, if that wasn't written on the sheet, you weren't supervising them, right? Would they actually do that? No, it's like that's hard for them half the time, right? Like people don't like doing things that are hard. That's just human nature, right? It's why am I going to do something that's hard, right? It's going to ruin my chance of survival when I can lay here on the couch, conserve my energy, right? And that's going to help me survive, right? In the short term. That's how our body's built.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times we're asking somebody to do something that they truly do not want to do.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to build a relationship and a form of trust to say, hey, and it's never going to be like outspoken and say, hey, like, I know you really don't want to do this, but trust me, like you want to achieve your goals and this is the way that we're going to do it. Like you have to find ways to build that, that confidence in them, right? So that they're going to keep showing up. And that's how you're going to become a successful personal trainer, strength coach, right? Is just having people show up, giving 100% every single day, right? It's better to have the most simple program, doing the same things, just rotate in and out, and have someone give it 100% every single time that they show up, rather than have the most complicated scientific research-backed thing, right? And they come in half the time and they don't care. Maybe a quarter of the time they don't even show up, and the other quarter they actually get after it.
Yeah. Well, so we were talking in one of the last podcasts about progression regression. Because her name is Molly Mulcahy, and she's down at Tampa Sports Academy down in Florida. And she's a personal trainer, strength coach. And we were talking about how the flip over of seasons. So say you have that athlete that comes in, right? And they're all about the gym, all about it, right? And getting into their head about like taking a step back or hitting the reset button. Like our example was a baseball pitcher. Just went out, pitched X amount of games, shoulders absolutely smoked. It might not feel like it's smoked, but all that rotator cuff is smoked up. And just hitting the reset button and just having that trust in your trainer, like this is going to be good for you. I know it might not be the sexiest thing right now, but in the long run, we're going to just progress from here. So it comes down to programming, and then it comes down to just, I think, keeping things excited and then keeping people invested in what you're doing, right? Spicing it up a little bit, but still enough where you're making that linear progression throughout your programming, or making that baby steps every day in whatever you're trying to do. If it's whatever movement you're doing, if you're working on building the core, if you're working on squat, deadlift, whatever it may be, just making subtle changes here and there where they can see change, I think helps them come back too.
Yeah, and as long as you have a model of training, you follow some sort of progression regression scheme, triphasic, 5-3, like whatever, like you have a model of training that you want to follow, the programming side of it's very easy.
Yeah.
Like truly, honestly, in coaching, programming side, once you've actually sat down, thought about it for some time, how you want to coach, and you think this is the way that people should do physical activity, should be lifting, should be progressing physically, programming becomes very simple and easy. The hard part about coaching is developing relationships to get people to trust you, right? So like the hard part of that for that baseball player and that coach right there is actually spending the time before that time comes, developing that relationship. So when that training used to go, hey, like we need to take, you just finished the season, we need to take 2-3 weeks off, kind of just go do something else, go for a hike, go play basketball. Like you're not touching a baseball for 2 to 3 weeks, right? But that's all that they've done for the last 9 months. Now you're telling them not to do it.
Yeah.
And they've got to trust you, right? You can't build that trust, and you can't build enough trust in that moment that you have to tell them that to actually make that actually stick, right? That's the 9 months of working with them before and building that trust and be like, hey, I've showed you the way for the last 9 months. I've invested my time, my energy. You've invested it back in me, which made me invest it back into you, right? So this is always just a reciprocal relationship. You invest time, I invest time, right?
Yeah.
You always have to give first, right? So you can't expect an athlete to come in and give the energy first, right? You have to give it first. So you give energy, they'll give it back, and you have to keep giving it, and it's reciprocal, right? And that building that for that time, right? That's how making that choice for that athlete, right, is much easier, because if they trust you and you say, hey, like you got to take some time off, like your shoulder is absolutely crushed right now, you throw 1,000 pitches in the season, right, we need to relax, recover, whatever, right, they're going to buy in on that because they're going to trust you.
Yeah. Now, for a newer coach, this is a great topic to talk about, people coming out of college or coming out of grad school, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in the field for a while. I've been in the field for a few years now. For a newer coach coming in, what are some tips you could give them to build trust? Because, for example, like there's extrinsic people, there's intrinsic people. I'm somebody that believes, like, I don't care who you are, I could walk into a room and I could strike up some sort of conversation with you. But that's also me now. When I first came in, I was a little bit not on the timid side of things, but like talking to people and keeping conversations flowing and learning about them, things like that. It's hard to do when you first meet somebody. So what were some things that you focused on? Like, did you try and get to know them, who they were outside of sports? Did you try and figure out their family life? Like, what are some things that you can help younger coaches with, like, start to realize and how to build trust with athletes, adult clients, whoever they are?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I did, and I think that the biggest thing that'd be helpful to new people. So I went 3 years, 3 different places, give or take, 3 or 4 different places, right? The first thing I did every single time that I went, found out what teams I was working with, right? And I spent time learning the athlete's name. People love to know the fact that you know their name. And it's much easier to get someone, to coach someone, to ask them to do something when you know their name. If you can say, hey, Scott, like, I need you to place your feet like this, and like whatever coaching cue you got from, right? Instead of like, hey, buddy, like, I know I just met you 5 minutes ago. I don't know your name, but like, I need you to do this, right? They're going to think to themselves, this guy doesn't even know my name. Like, why am I going to listen to him? Right?
That's true.
I spent time. I remember there was days when I first started at Northeastern, and I got thrown into working with women's row. And it was a quick hire, quick turnaround. I think I was hired, and it was like literally like, hey, you're starting next week on Monday. And oh yeah, and women's row lifts on like Tuesday. So I found out on Monday that I was having to coach on Tuesday, women's row, a team of like 35, 36 athletes, all lifting at the same time.
Yeah, that's right?
A lot. So I remember I commuted on the train in and out. On my phone, I'd pull up the women's row roster on the Northeastern Athletics website, and I just looked at faces and names the first 2 weeks.
Did you surprise them? Did you get somebody and you knew their name right when they walked in?
No, so I didn't do that, but like just like so that like I could quickly do it, right? There should be like 2 weeks. I knew 90% of those names.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and through trust right at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I told him, hey, give me some time. There's a lot of you want to meet. You got to remember one name. I got to remember 36, 35.
That's true.
But I did it in 2 weeks.
That's not bad. So I have a funny story. With the pandemic, our CrossFit gym, we went to Zoom, right? When we were complete lockdown mode, we went to Zoom, and we had a great turnout. Like, people bought in. It kept our community up, because like a lot of the CrossFit gyms, it's all about community. It's all adults and people in their 20s. And it's all been one big community. But so I did not coach at our gym for very long before the pandemic. So I only knew people that came to my groups. I coached at the night before then. I didn't see much of the morning group. So I didn't know a lot of people. So the way I got to know people was on Zoom when you coach them. the name was in like the bottom left corner, so I could just put a face to the name. And then when we
There you
came back
go.
into the gym, I knew everyone's name. It's a hilarious story. But I was literally like, I learned 90% of your guys' names because of Zoom. And now I have
Yeah.
this great relationship with like all these members at the gym. But it's knowing them, but then like you don't stop there, like take steps forward. Like things that I try and focus on is like, if I can learn things of like, where are you from? Like knowing what town they're from. Like this is more for like the big box style things. Like you might not know where every college athlete is from, but like know them, know their town. If they're an adult, like do they have kids? Like how is your son doing? How's your daughter doing? Like take steps forward and just keep getting that connection, because then you just start to become like, they enjoy seeing you. They want to tell you something that happened in their life. And then like the training is just a byproduct of you helping them just grow their life as a whole. And that comes back to, we want to see you progress as an individual in all things, spiritually, physically, mentally, not just like, I want to get you bigger biceps or I want you to make you squat more. Like I want you to grow in all these facets.
Yeah, and that's as a personal trainer of the private sector or anything like that, that's going to increase your retention, right? Because there's only a few reasons why people ever actually leave training, right? They're not getting results,
Yeah.
right? So they're just not, the money that they're paying, they're not seeing the value of it, right? Or things are getting financially tough, right? So they're, maybe they lost their job. A lot of people suffered that, that's terrible, right? Or maybe things at home didn't go as well with certain things, right? Or, and they have to cut expenses somewhere. Typically, like if they're not enjoying their experience, cutting personal training is going to be one of the first things, right? It's usually expensive, right?
Yeah.
A couple $100 a month, 3, 4, sometimes even $500 a month, right? If they're not enjoying that and it's not something that they know they're feeling deep down that they truly need, that it is bettering themselves, that like, if I didn't do this, it would actually affect me more, right? Then what's the other reason that I have to think about cutting this, right?
Yeah.
Still find other ways.
Yeah.
Right? You get a client that will rather stop going out to dinner than stop their personal training, right? They're gonna stick with you.
Oh, for sure.
Because
It's the old like,
they'll cut everything else out of their life, right? And
yeah.
they will stick with you because you've shown them value, right? And you've invested time in them.
What's the old like, one of the general manager at our gym, her name's Dana. She always gives this great example. She wants people that will cut Netflix or cut their cable off before they cut their gym membership. Not even just personal training, but like cut the cable to the TV before you cut your gym membership, because you're making change for your life. Like cable's not doing anything for you. Like, yeah, like cable's great. Like we all want to watch the Super Bowl, things like that. But like the gym is something that's going to make you extend your life, right?
Yeah.
Cable, you're going to have cable down the road, but like right now in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, like you're setting the building blocks. You're building the foundation of what your body's going to be like when you're 60, 70, 80, 90.
Yeah,
Right? Like that's all you're doing.
Yeah, and the way that you do that is you just build an environment and a culture where it's hard to stop, right?
Yeah.
That like it would be a hard decision for someone to say, I can't do this anymore, or
Yes.
I need to cancel my membership, right? Because they're invested in the community. Like people are invested in them, whether it's their own coach or it's the small group setting coach, whether it's another member in that community, whether it's community at large, right?
Yeah.
It's a great thing about small training, right? And I really think that's one of the things that's going to take off. Maybe once everything with COVID-19 clears up, I think people are going to want social interaction again, right?
Oh, 100%. Well,
think,
at our gym, people talk about it all the time. Like we have a very large space. So for a CrossFit class, it's kind of like group exercise, but it's a little bit different, where there's gymnastics, weightlifting, and then metabolic conditioning is kind of our 3 avenues. And then how we do that through strength or through a Metcon, things like that.
Hmm.
But a lot of people say like it is the normal part of their day inside of COVID-19. Like they get to leave their house, say they're working from home, they get to leave their house, talk to people, and then go back home. So like it's their favorite part of the day. And like, so I do personal training, I'll do online coaching, online programming. I do all those things as well as coaching at the gym. And in all those avenues, I think my favorite part is everyone that I work with. They're like fired up to come in. Like, and like that doesn't mean that they're like, you can't go like 100%, 110% in CrossFit every day. You're just going to kill yourself. Like you need to have days where it's like, I'm going to recover today or something like that, where I'm going to take some off, which is fine. But like even on their active recovery days, like they're fired up just to see people, talk to me, learn something new that they didn't know the day before. Like if you can keep that rolling over and like you can physically see it in their face, like when they're fired up, it's awesome to see because they're so invested. And some days as a coach, like, right, like there's days where we're tired. Like it happens. We don't like bring 100% every day. And like it fires me up when I see them fired up and I'm tired. I'm like, oh, well, I got to bring my A game because they're fired up right now. So I need to get up a little bit.
Yeah, see, and that's that energy playing off against each other. Right? You invested energy into them to get them to that level, right? Where
Yeah.
you built the value that, hey, this is like something that you want to do. This is going to help you, right? This is your time away from them. Like you've shown that value, right? Just by being an excellent, fantastic coach, providing a space that's fantastic, right? And on the days where you're like not 100% there, right? They're giving it back, right? They're investing in you,
Yeah.
right? Next day, right? They might come in and they're like, I don't really want to squat heavy, right? My kid just threw up in the toilet seat, right? I just had to clean it up. Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, nope, you invested in me yesterday. I'm going to invest in you, right? Let's do this.
And it's a give and take, right? It's a give and take. The other thing that I talk about a lot too is as a coach, right? You want to do everything in your power to better someone else, right? And that's what we're doing. We're just bettering everyone else. The other thing too is like, especially at like our gym, I'll be in there working out and like the people that I'm coaching there to make them better, they're giving it right back to me. Like people love to watch, like see me when I'm working out or something like that. They're like, this guy's doing the same thing. Like he's bought into what he's telling me to do. So like it's do as I say, like the old like do as I say, not as I do. Like the best coaches, it's not like that. It's just you tell them what to do, you do the same thing. And it shows like there's value in like what you're saying, what you're doing works for you. So it's definitely going to work for them too. So them being invested in that way too.
Yeah. I mean, would you, if you went to the doctor and the doctor's trying to get you to quit smoking and tells you, but you saw him lighting up a cigarette before you walked into the appointment, like what?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're trying to
Exactly.
get me to quit smoking, but I literally just saw you 10 minutes ago light one up. Right?
Exactly.
You have to show them that you're invested, right? And it doesn't have to be over the top, right? Every once in a while, get a work. A lot of coaches don't like to work out where they coach. I get that, right? Because then it can become a hassle, right? Because you feel like you're at the job all the time. Even when you're working out, you have to coach, whatever. Like, so even if you have to step away, go somewhere else to work out, right? That's fine. But find a way to show the people that you're coaching, your athletes, right, that you invest in what you're asking them to do as well.
Exactly.
Right? Once or twice a week, right? You show up at your own gym that you coach at and work out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But the dividends that it's going to pay down the line when your athletes or your clients see that, hey, he works out too. He's just not yelling at people for 10 hours a day. Right. He actually does this too. And there's days that he probably doesn't want to do it, but he still does it. Right. Like you get that feeling. You have personal experiences to relate to.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing too, like for anyone coming up or any trainers out there, like because of COVID or just in general, like, and you're struggling for retention for some reason, or you're struggling to like gain clientele, it's jump on in, right? Like when I first started, like I got some of my clients because they saw me in the corner and they're like, okay, I can only goblet squat. And that guy over there, I see him train people and he's back squatting. I'm like, I want to learn how to do that. It can be as simple as that. And they'll be like, I want to learn how to do that. I want to sign up with you just because I want you to teach me how to do that. And then it's all about build a relationship, and then you're in. But the other thing too is like you can gain some of the greatest knowledge, like in that I do. I love working out with other people to see how kind of their mental side works. Because mentality is one of the biggest parts of working out. Doesn't matter what you're doing. If you could be bodybuilding, right? It's all mentality. And seeing how other people work, but then also like working out with somebody else and feeding off their energy or picking up tricks from them. I talk about like as a coach, if you think that you know everything or you stopped your learning process, you're now behind the curve. You want to be ahead of the curve because it's always changing. Doesn't matter what it is. So, and I learn things from people every day. I'll work out with other coaches. Be like, I coach in this space and I did not know that. Thank you. And all they were doing was coaching me. Like sometimes it's good as a coach to get coached by other coaches because you learn things from them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know, and if you're ever the smartest person in the room, go find a new room. You don't
Yeah.
belong there. Right? You should never be the smartest person in the room, right? Because then you're not learning, right? There always should be someone smarter in that room about something, right? So you might be the smartest person in the room about training, but what about financial responsibility, right? There's someone smarter in that room, right? So let's talk to them about that, right? There might be someone who's smarter than you about parenting, right? Because they've got a kid and you don't, right? They have firsthand knowledge about it. Like, you have no idea what you're doing. Let's go talk to them, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, you should always be surrounding yourself with people who are smarter and better at the things that you want to become better at. If you're just surrounding yourself with people who aren't better than you, you're never going to get better yourself.
Yeah. All right. Now coming into the new year, we'll have a little fun. You as a coach, right? Let's talk about you as an athlete. Your background in soccer, right? I grew up watching you guys play soccer. You, Jacob, everybody, guys were great soccer players. Now, did you play soccer in college? I think you did, right?
Yeah, 3 years.
Where?
Kobe store.
Okay. And then after college, right? And then just being in the coaching world, strength conditioning, all that. What do you do now? Do you follow like a strength conditioning program? What do you do?
Yeah, so like right now my training is so like at Fit Factory, like we actually have like a functional fitness interval training program. It's kind of very similar to kind of like you coach small group training, stuff like that. I was making my own workouts, doing on my own. Coming into January, with hopefully becoming really busy, having to spend a lot more time at the gym and at work. I didn't want to think. Like, I didn't want to be like, okay, I got to put down this program. I got to do this. Like, what am I doing here? No, I just wanted to go in, have motivation every single day, right, from other people, right? Because I'm gonna need that in January, right? There's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of days where I'm just like, I'm just tired by fucking 3:00. Like,
Yeah. No, for real. Well, that's the best part about one of my favorite parts about CrossFit too, is it's constantly varied functional movements at a high intensity. Keywords, constantly varied. You'll never do the same thing twice. And for every type of CrossFit that I've ever done, someone else is doing the programming for me, or or the people that I'm coaching. So when I come in, one of my favorite parts is like, all right, what we got today? And it's just like, boom, here it is. So like, yes, I have to coach it and I have to display it out to these people, and I break everything down and how we're going to warm it up and how we're going to strategize it and rep schemes and all this stuff and regressions, progressions for different athletes trying to go in different avenues. But at the same time, like, it keeps me fired up because it's never the same thing. And there's a part of that where I don't have to think. And it's just varied, right? We always work on weaknesses. It's part of the things that I love about CrossFit too, is that you can't like play to your strengths. For example, you can't be like, hey, I love squatting. I'm gonna squat 3 times a week. It's like, okay, I suck at deadlifting. There's deadlifting today. Let's try and get under that bar a little bit. It's like, so you're always just like having someone else program for you. It's those weaknesses or things that you don't like are going to come up, but you're just going to get better at them.
Yeah, and I came in. I ended. I was looking back at 2020. I was like, I used to run 90 minutes a day for a game of soccer, right?
Yeah.
Practice 3 hours, and I'm like, I run for like 20 minutes now. I'm like, God damn, this is exhausting. I'm like, my work capacity was so much better years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Training was a whole lot more. Life was different, but like, I was like, I need to improve that. That's my weak point. I was like, I just need to improve my ability to move constantly at a high level for a long period of time.
Yeah.
I just need to be able to improve my ability to do work, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm no longer looking at my squat and being like, I need that to be 3 times my body weight, or 350, or I got 320 last time, I'm gonna do 325. Like, I don't care if it's 135 on the bar. I really don't anymore. Like,
yeah. Well, it's the thing too, is it ebbs and flows.
Better, I don't care about numbers anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like I was looking back. I was like, my work capacity is absolutely terrible. Like,
yeah.
So then that's one of the other reasons why I just went kind of full bore into this program at work. Where I didn't want to think. I wanted motivation from other people in the community. And then it's going to improve my ability to do work monumentous. And I'm going to do it for about January, just, to get me through this time. We're going to be super busy. I'm going to be super thankful, and for the coaches down there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was going to be unique to be on the other end of it.
Well, so it's it's a little that part's fun where you like, because it ebbs and flows, right? And it ebbs and flows for me too. I said this on a video a little while ago. Like, coaches aren't superheroes. We get times where like we're super into heavy lifting, and then there's times where we just want to go for a jog, and then there's times where it's like we don't want to do anything, and it just ebbs and flows, and you're just like up and down. Like, we're just like all of our athletes. Doesn't matter if they're at the Division I level. Doesn't matter if they're 75-year-old grandfather. Everyone's exercise, mood, intensity, things like that, and what they're like mentally locked in on, it just ebbs and flows the whole time on what you're focused on.
But like, the biggest thing about that, right, is just ensuring that it becomes a lifestyle habit, right? So no one cares. Like, I don't care if you do bodybuilding, if you do running, if you do, CrossFit, if you do regular strength training, right? Like, just make it a habit, right?
Yeah.
To last your lifestyle, right? Do the movements correctly so you're not going to get hurt, right? That's
yeah.
it, right?
First and foremost.
Right? Make sure that you're doing movements that you can actually do, right? And that you're doing it at the right level, like you're not overbearing, right? And then two, make sure you're doing it consistently. So now let's say, like, okay, you did 5 years of traditional strength training. You're like, I'm really bored of this. Like, I've done the same things for like 5 years. Like, all right, I want to go do some running. Okay, cool. Make sure we do that right. We have an actual training plan that's logical, right? Instead of just running, right? Have a training plan, right? But make it consistent, right? Just move your body, right? Because then it's gonna, like, once you shift into something else, you're gonna have that habit of just moving your body.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 times, however many times a week it is, and just getting that work done, right? And that's gonna be the thing that helps the majority of people over the lifetime, is just being able to do it week in, week out, whatever style of working out it is. We just need more people across the world just to consistently move whatever they want to do.
Well, so you probably agree with this. Coming into 2021, right? What is it, January 3rd? January 3rd. Coming in January 3rd, 2021, everyone's mindset right now is like, I can do this, right? They're going to set something up. Now, let me tell you, in 3 weeks from now, right, there's going to be this cliff, right? This cliff where a lot of people fall off. But being consistent with yourself, and I don't care what the consistency is. Like, you don't have to work out 6 times a week, right? But if you tell yourself, I'm going 3 times, you're going to hit it 3 times, just be consistent with that. You can start small too. I know people that I've talked to people, they're like, Scott, 2021, I haven't worked out in like a year. Where do I start? I go, and they go, I just joined a gym. I go, okay, walk in the door. And they're like, all right, I walked in the door. I'm dying sore. I'm like, okay, we can go 1 or 2 times a week. Start there. Just start there. And like, don't overdo it. And like, even that's consistency. 2 times a week is consistency. It's just whatever your map is, set a map and then just stay to it. It's anything. People getting into diets right now, right? If you're going to go, I'm going to count my macros. Well, you better be consistent with it, because if you count macros Monday to Friday, then you go out and binge drink on Saturday, Sunday, you just lost your consistency. So it's like, it's all just setting yourself up for success with whatever you want to do. And don't make it too complicated. It doesn't have to be that complicated.
It doesn't have to be this exaggerating goal with a short timeline, right? If you've never worked out your day in your life before, you have no idea what you're doing, right? The biggest thing is, right, I can say, build a habit of doing something healthy every single day, right? And you can build that habit in numerous ways. Like, if someone's super intimidated about going to the gym, they've never worked out in their life, okay? Well, we want to build a habit, right? So first thing I might tell them to do is, hey, every day after work, for the first week, it might seem super weird and strange, right? Just check in. Go up to the thing, scan in, walk around the gym, walk out. Don't even have to do anything, right? You don't even have to touch a weight, right? Just get used to the fact that every single day, when you leave work, you're going to go to the gym, right? You do that for long enough, right? You're going to get more comfortable with the setting. Okay, then maybe on week 2, you'll scan in and you'll do a couple exercises. Then you'll walk out. But you're still building that habit that when 5 o'clock comes, if that's your schedule, right, at the end of work, you're getting in the car and you're driving to the gym.
That's a really good point.
And eventually you'll stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
You'll just know after work, I get in my car and I go to the gym.
Yeah. Well, when you can make that mindset, I've talked with a lot of my clients about this. When you can make the mindset where the gym is not something that you need to do, but it's something that you enjoy and you want to do, where like when it comes to the point where you're like, all right, I have two options. I can go out and drink at this burger bar, or I can go to the gym, and you start trying to think of reasons to like get out of going to the burger bar because you just want to go to the gym because that's just part of your lifestyle. You're in a good spot, right?
Yeah.
But when you start thinking about ways where it's like, all right, I got to go to the gym today, and you're thinking of 1,000 reasons to get you out of it, that's where that consistency cliff is coming, right? You're
Yeah.
going to fall off that cliff.
And building that habit is what's going to get you over that cliff. It's going to be that tightrope that gets you from one side of the cliff to the other, right? Building that habit, right? And you don't have to have these huge audacious goals. In January, I'm going to lose 10 pounds because I'm going to go to the gym every single day and I'm going to diet. No, just have a goal of just going to the gym 3 days a week, doing something, right? And start there, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe in February, all right, hey, I'm going to put some weights in my hand. And then in March, I'm going to do a little more, right? But that's going to serve you so much better, right? Because you're going to build that habit every single time that you know, like your body just goes, it's time to go to the gym,
Yeah.
right? Like my body, I now wake up at 7 o'clock almost every single morning, right? That's just the time that I get up. You know, people are probably gonna bash me, right? Hey, it's not early enough, blah blah blah, right? I have a different work schedule, right? I work till about 8 o'clock at night, right? So 7 o'clock works for me.
Yeah.
But my body, without an alarm, will most days get up at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I set an alarm just because it's habit for me. But because I've gotten up so many times at 7 o'clock, I can just wake up at 7 most days that I know that I have to get up at 7. Right? And we should do that the same thing with fitness, right? Make it a habit, right? When you turn your car on and you have to back out of your parking spot, do you actually think about putting your car in reverse?
No, it's just a habit.
No, you just do it. You turn the key or you press the button, no matter what car you kind of have, right? And you just change gears because it's just they have it. You don't actually think about, okay, I need to turn the key this way, and then I need to reach down here. No, you just do it,
Yeah.
right? And then you back out, right? And so we need to do the same thing with people's lifestyles and for physical activity. Like, it just needs to become a habit.
Yeah. Especially right now, right? We get, I've gotten a lot of people to reach out to me and say, Scott, it's 2021 or way before this in December. They're like, hey, the holidays is crushing me. COVID's crushed me. And I've just fallen completely off the wagon, right? Especially for people that are working at home. I find this a lot from people that are working at home. They're like, hey, I'm off the wagon because you work from home. You don't even have to leave your house. Like there's a large majority of people that like, I don't even have to leave, right? You just get Shopify, get your groceries to your house. You don't even have to leave, right? So it's a weird time that we're in where it's like people are they're pretty much reaching out like, help me. I can't figure this out. What do I need to do? But then as you see the consistency grow, for example, I have someone that I've worked with for about a year now, that the things he likes to do and his hobbies have also changed to things like going for a hike. Instead of like his hobbies used to be cooking and watching like Netflix. Now his hobbies are like going to the gym, and then like him and his wife got into hiking, and him and his wife got into like going to like even the beach, but like they're outside, they're doing something, and like their physical lifestyle is turning over, all because they started working out and they started getting those endorphins and things like that.
Yeah, and like that, and that's the best thing that you can do as a fitness professional, right? Because let's say even in the most ideal situation, right, you have someone who works with you for an hour, 4 or 5 days a week, right? You get them 5 hours out of the week, right?
Yep.
1 hour a day, 5 days a week. What happens on every single other hour of the day? You're not supervising them. You're not there. You're not at home cooking with them, saying, "Hey, like, don't eat that cake. I don't like," or like, "Do you like?" You're not there, right? So like, you need to find ways to expand your reach to the other 23 hours a day that you're not with them, right? And that's by providing them with the habits, the lifestyle, and the knowledge to do it on their own. And that's really what you have to do, right? And you did a perfect example, right? You switched their lifestyle, right? They now decided to have a more active lifestyle, right? They wanted to get outside. They wanted to do more physical activity, right? even outside the gym, right? So you've already increased their physical activity inside the gym. Now they're doing it outside the gym too, right? They're doing it on their own, right? And that's where the most effective, right? Is because you can have the best program in the world, but like if the person ain't gonna sleep, right, at night, they ain't gonna eat properly. Doesn't matter how much you work with them, they're not gonna achieve their goals, right? So you have to find ways to give them support for the other 23 hours, 23 and a half hours a day, whatever, however long your sessions are, right? Give them that support while you're not there.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely, 100%. Now, coming into the new year for you, you can talk about it as a coach. You can talk about it as kind of a manager at your facility. What are some things you're looking to grow upon? Some maybe goals that you have. It could be for yourself, like if it's simple as like, hey, man, I just need to lose some weight. I got bigger. Like whatever it is, like just what are some things you're looking forward to as 2021 comes around?
I'm looking forward to the challenge of the new challenge of like being able to maintain healthy habits during a time that's going to become very, very busy for me.
Yep.
You know, everybody knows January in the fitness industry gets pretty busy.
Yeah.
Super hopeful that it's that way still.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully, I don't know if COVID-19 is going to affect that kind of that January rush, but like we all know that anytime in your life you get super busy, things pop up, things happen, you get stressed, right? Healthy lifestyle kind of takes a hit a little bit. So I'm excited for the challenge to be able to like take that head on. Like I know it's going to be busy. I've put places and systems in place to try and help me maintain that healthy habit. But then I'm also super excited to keep working with my staff and keep developing them. I have a lot of young people.
Yeah.
Of young.
Are we talking like straight out of college?
Some people are still in college.
Oh yeah, so that's you.
Graduate. I think the average age of people who work in my facility is probably about 25.
That's pretty young.
That's like from management all the way down, like from front desk staff to management. Like, me, I'm one of the managers. I'm 26.
Hey, just to let you know, I'm under that 25 still.
Right, so I got a lot of young people. I'm young myself, right?
Yeah.
So just like the opportunity challenge to watch these people grow, and even like I know a lot of them aren't going to stay with us, right? They're doing this front desk attendant job because they're home from college for now, or they're all online, or it's just convenient for them, right? That don't matter to me, right?
No, but you can still affect them in a positive way.
Yeah, I can teach them skills, how to communicate professionally, how to handle stressful situations, how to talk to people, right? When they're frustrated about a situation.
Yeah,
right?
that's a skill, my friend.
Yeah, and that loops right back around to the thing I was saying about learning names. Like I tell everybody, like you have the scan in, their name pops up, right? You have no reason not to know a large amount of members' names.
That's true.
You can see it every single time they check in. Sit there and like say hi, say their name, right? But then you're gonna see what's gonna happen is they have a problem with their billing or their membership or something happens. It's gonna be so much easier to resolve that because they know you. They've had a conversation. They know that you know their name, right? So they're not just coming, screaming and yelling at the front desk attendant or the manager of the gym, right?
Yeah.
Coming to talk to Isaac.
Yeah.
Right? It's so like you can diffuse situations so much faster when you know somebody's name and like you've talked to them before.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't have to know a whole bunch of like we have like 4,000 members at my gym. Am I gonna know something about every single person? No. But the regulars that come in, one of the people I see the most, I can at least learn their names. I can say hi to them when I walk around the gym. Right. And then if they have a problem, they have a complaint, right, it's so much easier to resolve that issue with them because we're talking on a cohesive level, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. 100%. 100%. And then it's, it doesn't matter. This can relate to anybody actually who watches this. And it really actually doesn't matter how old you are. Age when it comes to this topic is just a number. Understand that every day that you go to work or every day that you wake up, right? You can always improve on something. Doesn't matter what it is. You can work on talking to people. You can work on organization. Like, does not matter what it is inside of your day. If your one goal is, I'm going to coast through this day, I'm not going to learn anything, and I'm going to take kind of the easy way out, right? That's going to become a very big problem for you in 6 months, in a year. Because if that starts to become a habit, we're in trouble. But if you can just go into work every day and be like, hey, I'm going to try and get better at this, or I'm going to come up with a better system for this, or I'm just going to be very friendly today. Like whatever your like starting goal is, you can just build upon that. Doesn't matter what you do. You could be in the fitness industry. You can work in a cubicle. Like you can be a trash truck driver. Doesn't matter what it is. You can always try and improve in anything that you do in life. And it just comes back to growing as a person, right? You grow as a person inside the gym, grow as a person wherever you work, whatever you do. So like you said, like some of your employees, like they might not be like, the fitness industry might not be for them. It might just be a high school job or a college job or kind of a stop in their road of life, right? But like doesn't mean they can't take things away. Doesn't mean they can't get something better on their resume or have another like a great relationship with their manager, something like that.
Like ultimately, like I would love to see like I have a ton of people that are studying like psychology, political science, right? I don't think a single one of my front desk attendants that I work with is studying fitness.
Yeah, which is fine, which is fine.
Really fine, like cool. They're all fantastic. I have a great relationship with all of them. Like I have conversations with them all the time, and like we have fun at work, right? And that's the biggest thing. Like we have fun at work, but and I tell them all the time, hey, I talk to you about these things, or I try and teach you these things, right? Because I know that you want to be successful later in life, right? What's going to bring me the most joy and pride is, right, you graduate school, you come back and say this, hey, I got to put my 2 weeks in because I got a full-time position working for this company, and it's an absolute, great thing, and it's better than I ever thought I could do. Awesome. We did the work the last year or whatever, setting you up for that interview, that communication process. Like we set you up for that new position that you're super excited for. That's what I want for my staff, right?
Exactly. And then it's the other thing too is this goes to like we can relate this back to athletics too, because this is a big thing that all athletes and coaches always talk about. And kind of what we're talking about is just being coachable and like understanding, like you said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you don't belong in that room. So 99% of the time, you're not the smartest person in the room. So just be open to discussion, be open to be coached, right? If your boss is telling you something to do, like, yeah, you're not coach to athlete relationship, but you kind of are. Like he is higher than you in the hierarchy. You were lower than him. So you're the athlete. He's the coach. He's trying to give you information to make you better or make things easier. So just be coachable, be open, or have a discussion. Be like, hey, I tried it this way. And then if you're wrong, just be like, hey, sorry, man, I just tried it. I thought it was a good idea. But then if you're right, it might be something that the higher up also has never done before. So just like be relatable, be coachable, and have that relationship to adapt and like be able to grow together as in any business that you're in.
Yeah. I mean, and like that's like one thing is like believe in life that like you should strive every single day to be 1% better. It's like the aggregate gains of just tiny wins over and over and over again. You spend a full year trying to get 1% better every single day. You'll be surprised at the end of 365 days how much you've grown. Now let's say you've only done that every other day, but every other day you've gotten 1% worse. Right? Like then you haven't gotten any better.
Yeah,
right?
you're just the same.
It's always balanced out, right?
Yeah.
But if you commit to becoming just a tiny bit better the majority of the time, and but you do that consistently, right? You'll become a better person.
100%.
2020, I made a challenge, right, of to read one book a month, right? It wasn't anything exuberant, like one book, woo, like, right? But the way that I did it, right, is I read 10 pages a day, right? How long does 10 pages takes? What, maybe 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Actually sit down, open the book, right? Maybe get the highlighter out, do a couple highlightings, right? 15 minutes. I can carve out 15 minutes every single day. I try and read 10 pages a day. There's about 30 days in every single month. That's a 300-page book.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is, right, like people say this all the time. They're like, keep reading, keep learning. Like there's a reason they say that. It doesn't matter about what you're reading. Like it could be anything. Like pick up a nonfiction book, start to read it. It's something that you didn't know before you picked that book up, right? It comes back to just trying to learn.
I can't remember the last book that I read about fitness. I honestly, I can't. It's probably been over a year. Like I don't think all of 2020 I read a book regarding fitness straight out.
Yeah.
A lot of it was like social, IQ, like like what is it called, EQ?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, like a lot of it was that, like, 7 habits of highly effective people, how to win friends and influence people. Right? It's like just how to navigate in the social environment,
And that's a
right?
big topic right now. There's a lot, like if you go to Target, like there's a lot of books about that where it's like how to avoid stressful situations or how to get yourself out of the bullshit. Like I think there's literally a book I saw the other day, literally called that, How to Avoid the Bullshit. And like, it's just something that it's skills that you can learn, like, especially now, like there's certain things that you can do to take negativity and get it out of your life and just bring in positivity. And I mean, there's so much information out there right now. And that's things too. Like if you're sick, doesn't mean you can't like go research something, read a book. Like you're still learning something. You're still mentally getting stronger.
Yeah, like you still got better that day. Like you don't have to get better in the same way every single day, right? It's not, all right, I gotta get 1% better on the fitness every single day. Okay, no, maybe you got 1% better with, connecting to a friend, or maybe you got 1% better at cooking, right? Because you learned a new recipe, or maybe you just learned a new ingredient, right? Like, you got better at something.
Yeah, exactly.
You do that every single day.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this was great, man. I'm happy to have you on. We'll have to bring you on again because this conversation was awesome. It was very bringing positive light into 2021, which is awesome. But you got anything else for anyone that listens to this?
No, I mean, I would love to be on here again. Hey, this was a whole lot of fun for me too. Great to be able to reconnect after all these years. Hey, and I'm super proud of everything that you're doing, man. If someone had told me, just a few years ago that, little Scotty would be doing all this,
Right.
Like, no.
I don't think I would have told you that either. But it's been the ride. It's been fun, but we'll have to reconnect soon. Thanks, dude.
So it's super nice to see everything you're doing. You're doing a great job, man.
Pour me another one, make it a strong one. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Just like the other one, make it a double rum. We're gonna cast away tonight. I'm in an island state of mind. Don't think I'm ever gonna leave. I'd rather stay and watch the waves move the sand beneath my feet. Reggae on the radio, laying low and feeling high. Easy living down in paradise. Pour me another one,